Hello, welcome back to the back office. Today we're going to talk about something that is very, very close to me, very, very close to a lot of people. Underwear. Get it? Because it's close to you. Body. Anyway, one of the big myths that people are often told is that people in the past didn't wear underwear, and while it's true that they didn't really wear underwear as we know it today, there isn't really a time in historical Europe where people didn't wear underwear as a norm. It's never really been a thing, generally, to not wear underwear. And one of the times where people are convinced that underwear wasn't a thing is the medieval period. Now, the medieval period was a time where underwear was absolutely being worn by everybody, male, female, young and old. The thing about medieval underwear is, if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that it takes different forms to what we now think of as undies, like your socks and your boxers, or your underpants. It was basically your outer clothes in a different material. So your tunic that is made of wool might have a tunic on underneath it made of a much finer wool, or linen if you could afford it, and that would be your underwear. That is your under tunic. You'd also be wearing a pair of brays, like big baggy linen underpants that reach down to the calf or just below the knee, and these are things that you use to tie your hose on, basically long socks that come all the way up the thigh. So those are underwear. They are basically medieval underpants. So although they don't look like modern underpants and a t-shirt or a vest, that is your base layer. You're wearing a base layer because over the top of that, you're wearing the showier outer layers of clothing that you actually want people to see, things with embroidery or nice fabric. You don't just wear, if you can afford it, a rough woolen tunic just over your bare skin. That just doesn't make any sense. And as well as that, linen is soft, it's easy to clean, it can be laundered, it can be whitened really easily in sunlight in some cases, if you've got strong enough sun. So it makes sense to have that closer to your skin. Now, we know people were being given linen clothing because we have medieval laws from Wales, Scotland, Ireland, various other countries that show medieval kings and queens donating wool and linen garments to their servants, to their household, to their court. That's the word. Use court editing, Jimmy. Will do. So yes, people in the medieval period were wearing underwear. One of the big finds recently is the Lindbergh bra, and it looks like that. Now, it's obviously not actually a bra in the modern sense of it just being two cups and some straps. It's a more fitted garment than that. It's got a side closure down the side for a start with eyelets, and what this probably represents is part of a longer gown, like an underdress basically, with some bust support built in through those cups, and with a side closure so that you can tighten it up to fit the figure, the upper body figure. We've actually got lots of images from books and manuscripts of women wearing this kind of garment, so it is a commonly seen thing, and it does look like a skirt basically put into a waistband with this eyelet closure on the side. So it's a thing. It's an actual, piece of clothing, not just a scrap of linen that you wear. And the underpants that came with it, it's a pair of underpants. Like, some people are making a huge thing about it being period underwear, but why can it not just be underwear? People like wearing underwear. Some people like wearing underwear. I have to thank Isabel Northwood for helping me out with researching the Lindbergh bra, because I generally don't do historical women's wear. It's just not an area that I'm particularly good at. And there are plenty of other people on YouTube who look at medieval women's clothing. In the CosTube community, there are plenty of fellow costumers. If you go on Instagram to the CosTube guide, you'll actually get a really good idea of who's up and posting things about historical clothing. Anyway, shameless plug for CosTube aside. Moving forward from that, in the 17th and 18th century, people think that men and women do not wear underwear, and that is frankly nonsense. I mean, they did wear underwear. Like I said, there's never really a period in European history when underwear's not being worn by people, even if it's just a linen smock or a tunic. And in the 17th and 18th centuries, people are certainly wearing underwear. Women are still wearing their shifts, their linen underdresses. That is underwear. That is your base layer, your linen base layer, your white linen. is your underwear. And in the 18th century, people are still wearing these things. People are still wearing breeches underneath their breeches. They're still wearing linen shirts and shifts. I'm currently wearing 18th century underwear that I made. It's a pair of linen underbreeches and a linen shirt. And, like, you could be forgiven if you saw a painting or an 18th century person wearing this for thinking that he's just wearing his clothes. But if I were to go back to the 18th century and I walked into a meeting or a tavern wearing this, everybody would laugh at me because I'm wearing my underwear. I'm wearing linen underbreeches and I'm wearing my shirt, and that's it. Like, there's this idea that men only wore their shirts as underwear because they were so long that they could wrap them around up above the crotch and around the genital area, and they could just use that basically as a kind of nappy or a diaper. And that might be the case that some men did that, but we also have finds of linen underbreeches. We have several in, I think, possibly the Swedish National Museum. So, yeah, people were wearing underwear. It's fairly constant through the past that people wear linen against their skin as a base layer, as their underwear. And this is true right the way through from Rome to the present day. The Victorians certainly wore underwear. They wore lots of underwear. Men and women, children and adults, have always generally worn underwear. The only real exception to this is the very poor, who couldn't afford those kinds of layers, or very young children who frequently were just allowed to wander around naked for, obvious reasons. It's not really worth changing a cloth nappy 12 times a day. If it's made of an expensive cloth, you might as well just let the little buggers run around bum out, pooping. So there you go. Medieval underwear is a thing. 18th century underwear is a thing. And if you want more information on 18th century underwear, I have to recommend Zach Pinsent, Pinsent Tailoring on YouTube. His channel is going to be chock full of really, really interesting facts about historical menswear in the modern period, which I classify as, the 18th century onwards, because I'm an archaeologist. If there are any other historical myths like this that you would like to see me debunking a little bit, then by all means put them in the comments. I'm always looking for new ideas for videos that I can put up. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you're enjoying these. If you are, like the video, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now. Shabba-doo.